Can I just start by pointing out the obvious, which is maybe not so obvious, but we're doing ourselves. We've made such a mess that the average Joe, the average Lucy, the average woman and man trying to make a living in Cape Town, in Nigeria, now has to second guess systems that are put in place to protect them and to help them thrive in their hustle. It doesn't need to come to this, but since we have seen that we're capable of this amount of disruption, okay, now let's put our heads together to cause disruption for where it actually matters, where it will hit people that can actually be influential, our politicians, our people in positions of power. That's who we should be scheming and doing all these sort of things against or for, because right now what has happened is just affected the average driver, the average business owner who has employees, who has responsibilities. They're now suffering because of, quite honestly, pride. It's pride. A little backstory from my point of view, what I see happening here is Nigeria and South Africa are two Africa's giants. That's just what it is, how I see it. South Africa has for a long time been referred to as a first world country in a third world continent. And they have really been pace setters for standard infrastructure systems. When you step into South Africa, you feel like you haven't left Europe. For someone like me who was visiting, if you live in Africa and you visit South Africa, you are really going to feel like this is very different. This is organized. This is put together. Nigeria, on the other hand, I would say is quite the opposite in terms of just having their systems and infrastructures and just basics in place. However, they have numbers. You guys have numbers, and because you have numbers, you will shout and you will be the loudest. You will come in your numbers, and numbers in this day and age speak volume. Okay, and of course, Nigeria culturally are a very prideful population, prideful people. Nothing wrong, nothing bad. It is what it is. And obviously, if you're going to mess with a Nigerian person, they're going to come for you with full vengeance. That's just what it is. The thing is, right, we've got two giants who do not back down. South Africa is known for violence. South Africa is known for its pride and just resourcefulness. They are where they are for a reason as a nation. And so is Nigeria. Nigeria has set the way for us in many ways. But I think my thing here is, do we really want to be putting our brain cells together for this right here? I don't know if that's the best use of our time and effort. But since we have realized we can cause this much effect, cause this much tension, okay, next time we want to protest, next time we want to speak against something, let's use this level of creativity to actually hit where it matters, to hit the people that will actually feel the damage rather than the ordinary person. Right now, if I'm to book an Uber in either places, Nigeria or South Africa, I'm going to be faced with hiked prices. I'm going to be faced with so much trust issues from both ends in terms of the person driving or the person booking, because of something that is just, it's basically pride. Now, having visited South Africa, I will say there is something about South Africa that, in their pride of who they are as a nation and as a people, there's something that you just sense they're still healing, honestly. And that's okay. Like, the nation has been through a lot. Honestly, through observation, that's one of the things that makes them very passionate about their people, their country, their opportunities, their resources. And where you have Nigeria, who, quite frankly, quite honestly, they are not where South Africa is in terms of, as I said, infrastructure and systems. They are constantly hustling. They are born hustling, okay? And so wherever they go, they will hustle hard. And because they know where they're coming from, they have not come to fail. And that energy translates into, I will make it legally or illegally, by force, by fire. That's the energy they come with. And where you've got people in a country where this is home, they don't need to hustle. They are home. It's like this, right? When you're an immigrant in a country, the energy you're gonna have in terms of like reasons, the motivation for you to make it, it's gonna be different to the person who's born and bred there, because they don't, this is home for them. They don't have a responsibilities beyond the now, the right here. And so they don't need to approach work with the kind of energy to impress and to do the most. No, they don't. Most South Africans, even Zimbabweans, I'm Zimbabwean, we're very chill people. Typically very, very chilled and laid back people. But then now, some of that becomes an issue where it's always the women. Our women like things. Our women, our eyes will just shine. Okay, when we see good things, we were like, oh, okay, so I can get this. Most of it starts from the fact that women like things. Okay, we like things. And when these Nigerian guys come with the hustle and they are ready to impress you, much of it is then because the women are like, okay, so I can get this over there. Like, I'm gone. A man from the South, typically, not all, typically, a man from the South and a man from the West, there is big differences, and there's big differences in terms of how they treat their women, how they adore and adorn their women. And that then translates into a lot of the xenophobia starts from things like that, those cultural differences that make somebody feel like, okay, do you know what, I'm better off over here. Again, back to the mindset of I'll make it by fire, by force, legally or illegal. That's the energy that comes and that Nigerians typically bring in any land they arrive in. And I've seen this both in the UK, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa. South Africans will blame Nigerians for the problems that they faced as a business or through their parenting, their children getting involved in things that they feel only Nigerians introduced this. Whilst I don't agree in its entirety, I think these are just examples of things that have created a hostile environment. And like you see in the lady that Olinsa, her name, she was contesting for Miss South Africa. Her parents are half and half, Nigerian and South African. And South Africans are like, nope, she is not South African. She needs to come off this pageant because she's not South African. She cannot represent South Africa. But then you have Trevor Noah, and his dad is German and his mom is South African. They fully embrace him as South African. They love him as South African. So I honestly think there is something against Nigerians and South Africans that needs to heal. At the same time, it needs to be addressed in terms of like, what is it about Nigerians that everywhere you guys go, there are feelings towards you guys. And I see that here in England as well. And I think it's that energy, as I keep saying, it's that energy where I will make it by force, by fire. You will see me whether you like me or not. Whilst that is good, I think there is room for you guys to learn how to read the room. Just as in Nigeria, when I visited, I realized if you do not shout, if you don't present a little bit of madness, okay, they won't hear you. If you don't join them in being just a crazy, things won't move, okay? But then if you apply that kind of pressure outside of Nigeria, it's gonna rub off a certain way. It's gonna come off a certain way. And that's typically what's happening when Nigerians come out of Nigeria and they go to other places. But then again, the results are produced because when you apply a certain level of force that doesn't exist in that land you've arrived, you are going to see results because you're doing something differently. However, this is where I'm saying there is room to always do better. And I think Nigerians need to take a moment and realize where they go, they need to read the room and not offend. Just as you guys are big, you guys are big on respect. You are so big on respect. You're so big on how you are perceived. It should apply when you go outside of home. Present yourself in a way that is respectable, recognizable in the land you're in. You cannot do as you do at home and wonder why where you go, people take an issue or have an opinion. The beef between South Africans and, to be honest, any foreign African person, that's a video of its own in terms of South Africans' issues with other black people, other black nations. It's very sad, and I think it stems from the place where they need to heal as a nation. It stems from the traumatic history within South Africa. They may disagree, they may agree, I don't know, but honestly, there's no how that you will look at another fellow black person and feel that you do not want them to succeed when you have experienced the things you've experienced in the hands of a colonizer. Right now, this thing that's going on between our women, our men, South Africans, Nigerians, and the reason why it's so predominant with Nigerians and South Africans is because they are our biggest player in terms of the continent of Africa. They are the loudest. As I said, Nigeria has the numbers. South Africa has the infrastructure and the forwardness that was put there they were colonized by various European countries. I'm going to end this video with 2 points. One being, A lot of the things people take issue with Nigerians, and people do take issue with Nigerians because their energy is a lot. Their energy is see me or see me. There's no not seeing me. It's like Wale said when he visited Nigeria, everybody carries a main character energy, and that has its advantages. It really does. And in business, when somebody's beating you to something, if you do not have another way around it, you join them. You join them, or you accept your corner. You accept where you're at, and you just keep doing what you're doing. If you're proud of it, you keep doing that. If you are not happy and you want to be where they're at, you join them. You take a leaf from that book and you do what is making that person or that thing or that society or that individual successful, rather than moaning and creating hateful messaging. That's basically what I would say. Nigerians do something that works. It works for them inland, out of home, at home. So as Africans, as a fellow Black people, there is what is to be learned from every country. But since Nigeria is the loudest right now, you can adapt whatever is working for them and apply it in your life. It doesn't have to be only the bad or a focus on the bad. Look at what they're doing that is working, that is making them go beyond where you've been, and apply it to your life. And the same goes as well with Nigerians, or anyone for that matter. Where you go, anywhere you go, if you see something that you like, rather than spreading hate, adapt it, add it to your plate. The last thing I want to say is, here is a map, of Africa. There was no country, there was no division. Okay, so when we are fighting amongst ourselves like this, as I said at the beginning, we're doing ourselves. We are only slowing down our progress. Right now, Zimbabwe is beefing, or I don't know, Zambia is beefing over Victoria Falls with Zimbabwe. If there's one thing, people that are not interested in seeing Africa thrive, what they want is tribalism. What they want is us to be divided. What they want is all the mad number of currencies, some of the currencies that can't even exchange outside the country, some of the currencies that are even rejected by locals. They don't want it because they see no value in it for trade. That's what people who are not interested in the success of Africa want. They want us to be divided. What's going to happen now, the likes of Uber, the likes of Bolt, setting up a business, trading internationally, it's going to be made much harder. They're going to scrutinize to make sure they safeguard themselves from this happening again. This level of disruption is going to just cause extra tightening on security. And it's just going to make the average person who has an idea, who wants to succeed in business, to have to jump through more hurdles. And as I said, we're just doing ourselves. Apply this intelligence, apply this creativity to something that will affect people who are sitting on policies or making stupid policies. Apply this decision to businesses that are making decisions that impact our environment, our day-to-day, rather than the average person, over because somebody unfollowed and over because somebody is taking our women or our men. Like, guys, I think we can do so much better than that. Whilst, it's funny to some people, but in the center of it all, it's not funny. I just wanted to give you my 2 bobs and cents on this one because I think it's really important that essentially we wake up. My channel has really been centered around traveling, visiting African countries. There's so many beautiful things to see and do. There's something beautiful in every African culture. We have a bright future ahead of us. This is not the time to be divided and to be fighting over petty things. Let's get on to bigger things. Anyway, that's pretty much all from me. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. If you have what to say, please put it in the comments below. Remember to be kind. Nothing needs to be unkind. Say your point, leave it there, done. And otherwise, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next video.